And good morning, everyone, and welcome to News Extra. And we are in the last day of Travel and Tourism Week, at least, well, not exactly the last day. There are still a couple more things going on until the 11th, but one of the final days here this Friday. And my guest this morning is Jessica Rocha, the Tourism Director for Kimball County. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, there are still some things that are going on here this Friday and into the weekend. But this Friday, there's at least one more event here locally that's going to be going on.
Yes, in Scottsbluff, we will be having the 150th UNL celebration, and I believe there will be tours at the Panhandle place there, and they'll be serving their nifty 150 ice cream from the UNL Dairy Store.
A special ice cream that they developed especially for the 150th anniversary for the university.
Yes.
And UNL Chancellor Ronnie Green is going to be out as well, and making some remarks and taking a tour of the Extension Center. Now, of course, you come up from Kimball County.
Yes.
Kimball has its own tourism attractions that people may or may not be aware of.
Right.
Throughout the course of a year. To talk a little bit about those, if you would.
Sure. The High Point is in Kimball County, so those of you that think the Scottsbluff National Monument is the highest part of Nebraska, Kimball County actually has it on top of you. 5,424 feet. It's out in a pasture, private property, but there is a monument there and you can drive out to it. A lot of dirt roads, so make sure you check the roads before you go out after a rainstorm or snowstorm.
Maybe take a four-wheel drive
yes,
if you need to.
Just in case. It's beautiful. In the fog that we had yesterday, the last few days, you wouldn't be able to see a whole lot of that panoramic view, but it is a gorgeous setting, especially going out towards sunset or going to having a picnic there is pretty amazing.
And there are a lot of fun events that take place in Kimball, the city and the county itself as well, correct? Yes,
and we do have a ranch rodeo coming up June 8th, I believe, and that should be a lot of fun at 5:30. We're also going to be having the dueling pianos at Kimball Event Center May 17th. And Sean Evertson from Kimball is actually doing some bird watching tours right now through the middle of June. And we'll be doing wildflower tours also for the first week of June.
So there are quite a number of things that do go on in Kimball that, even people, earlier in the week we heard from John Ricks about, getting people from outside of the state into the state. Well, the same is true of getting people from outside your county or area into to do a little, hometown tourism, if you will, or homegrown tourism.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I'm looking forward to doing in the future. A lot of people in our own county haven't been to the High Point or haven't been to Rocky Hollow Buffalo Company to hand feed the buffalo, anything like that. And if we can do some different tours of our own county and really be able to tell the people in other communities around here as well as other states around here, you really do need to come see what we're all about.
Yeah, that's really a key when it comes to, of course, there's the hospitality training that's taking place today out in Mitchell, Ballooning 101. So people will be able to talk about and be fluent in balloon.
Yes.
for the National Ballooning Championship that will be joining the Old West Balloon Fest later this year. Being able to converse with somebody who says, "Hey, what's going on around here? Is there something that we might be interested in?" Being able to, sell them on something is not a bad idea.
Absolutely.
And of course, to be able to do that, you got to know what's around.
Yes. It does help.
Yeah, so that does mean being a little bit of a hometown tourist and taking in some of your own attractions every so often, so you kind of know what's going on.
Yes.
Now, of course, Kimball County, also one of the first counties that people will hit if they're coming eastbound out of Wyoming.
Correct.
And we'll talk a little bit about that and what that means for Kimball County tourism and the rest of the state when we come back on News Extra. And we're back on News Extra. My guest this morning is Jessica Rocha, the tourism director for Kimball County. Again, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Newly installed, I might add, a little bit earlier this year.
Yes, just a couple months ago.
So, when you step into a role such as this, you may or may not have some ideas on what you want to do in a tourism vein to try to generate more enthusiasm to get people to stop in Kimball County specifically and the Panhandle in general. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to in the rest of this year and then next year?
Sure. Right now, I'm kind of just trying to make sure I get everything done that's already scheduled. For next year, I'll probably really work on getting my own fundraisers going and that kind of thing. And I have a lot of great ideas from the community members and from my employees. A lot of really good people in the area know what might bring people in. And being right on I-80, the first stop basically in Nebraska.
First stop coming eastbound out of Wyoming.
Yes, I'm really loving all the people that are coming in. We get a ton of people that have flown in from Denver that are going, say, to Mount Rushmore. And so we can send everybody up through the entire Panhandle and really have them stop and kind of see what's happening here and what the history is and let them see our beautiful side of Nebraska.
And in that case, basically, it makes Kimball County, for lack of a better term, a gatekeeper.
Yes.
Of the tourism of the folks coming up out of Colorado or across from Wyoming and giving them some ideas of things to do and places to see and people to meet as they make their way throughout the Panhandle, wherever their destination may be.
Yes. We just recently, within the past week or so, have had people from Germany, Australia, and Italy coming through, and as well as, of course, all of the local tourism that we're getting and people just driving through. But we can really try to convince them to take a little detour and see something else that they haven't seen.
And that's kind of the hardest part when somebody has a destination already in mind of saying, well, either on your way up or definitely on your way back, coming back through, stop here, stop there. There's some really neat things that, it's just like we used to always say, well, people outside of the state would say the state is flat and boring.
Yes.
And of course, if you stay on the interstate, once you get, we'll say west of York, that's really primarily true. It's pretty straight and, well, not straight, but pretty level, even though you're technically going uphill.
Yes.
But it's once you get off that beaten path where Nebraska really kind of opens up and reveals all the hidden gems that are here that people just don't know about.
Absolutely.
And of course our statewide tourism campaign and the slogans are certainly playing into that.
They are. And a lot of people have heard of that and were curious coming in so far already since I've been in as director. And it's a lot of fun talking with people from out of state about the slogan. Which is really great because a lot of people inside the state were like, oh gosh, that's just terrible. But there's as John Ricks had mentioned, a self-deprecating humor to it. Yes. And people don't necessarily realize that some of those taglines of saying flat and boring or flyover country, those were actual comments from focus groups of people from outside of Nebraska of their opinions of what Nebraska is. Yes. And that's where those came from. Yes. And there's you couldn't be further from the truth in a lot of cases. And I like to tell people coming in that us Nebraskans do know that it is the good life, but we appreciate the new slogan because it is bringing in more people to know the good life. And speaking of good things coming out our way, we've got a couple other things coming up in the month of June, like the Tour de Nebraska is going to be making its way through Kimball County. Yes, it is. Wednesday, June 19th, the tour will come through, about 500 cyclists and their entourage. So we are planning quite a few different things, really hoping to get them to love our town and our community. We're going to have hopefully a whole street full of vendors and craft things, food items, all of the local businesses open. We'll have some afternoon entertainment and then a band in the evening, as well as a movie at the Good Hand Theater. Yeah, we're really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yes. Yeah, it's going to be neat. Yes. So when people are out and about and they encounter somebody who's here from out of state, somebody maybe even from the eastern side of the state, what's the best piece of advice that you would give somebody who's local on what they should say? What should they point out? I would say if anybody has a favorite place of theirs and they can tell them about it, people can see how genuine you are about your love of Nebraska, and that makes a huge difference. If you don't enjoy where you live, people aren't going to want to come visit. but if they see how excited you are about being able to go and climb the monument every day or go out and watch the sunset over the lake, anything like that, they can see that honesty and that genuine piece of the good life that we live here.
Yeah, or even hanging out at a high point, say in Kimball, and watching thunderstorms rolling across the plains.
Yes.
Pretty impressive stuff.
It is.
That people don't think about as they're flying over or through those storm clouds or around them in certain cases. So,
and if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you can stay out at night and see all the stars, people don't realize how beautiful the Milky Way looks in the middle of the night. So something like that is pretty spectacular in our area.
Yeah, one of the things that people just don't realize that's out there, especially when they come from a larger community that has plenty of light pollution.
Yes.
What they understand is the nighttime sky is nothing compared to what they can see out in our area.
Yes.
So Tourism Week almost wrapping up.
Yes.
But it's been a fun one, and something that we'll have the information to be able to carry on and share with everybody else.
Yes.
Jessica, thank you very much for joining us on News Extra today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.